Hi guys, it's good to have you on this session of our government tutorials, and we shall be considering party systems and political parties. I'm sure you've been following our previous videos. We've talked so much about government, and in this lesson at the end you should distinguish between the types of political parties that we have and also assess the role of political parties. Now we will begin with the party system. What really is the party system? Now it is a political arrangement where political parties are permitted to operate just for the purpose of holding power of whatever arrangement politically the country has. So it's an arrangement where political parties are allowed to exist. That's the party system. So every country chooses what kind of party system it would operate. Now there are about 4 types of party system, which are zero party system, one party system, two party system, and multi-party system. And just by their names you can understand how they function. So we would start with zero party system. Zero party system has to do with a standard where political leaders are elected by the people on individual basis. By the word zero, it could mean nothingness, like there is no political party. So the people who are elected into power are elected on individual basis. They don't go through any political party. There is no political party in a zero party system, and candidates are mostly independent and are elected according to their merits. Now there are advantages to this zero party system. It allows for proper management of time because we don't have to go through any party or through any rigorous process. Time is conserved, and electoral malpractices is reduced because we don't have to, there's no influence from political parties. It is simple to operate, it is cost effective, and people could just vote or elect the leaders by choice. It doesn't go through any party. So if you're not for a party, you cannot choose that person. And of course, decision making is very fast and it conserves resources. Now there are disadvantages to this rule. One is that irresponsible political leaders can also be elected into power because there are not so much parties where people can choose effectively. Irresponsible political leaders may come into power, and the conduct of election is not so smooth. Well, that's a disadvantage. And there is absence of party manifesto, like where they read out the blueprint of what things they intend to do when they get into power. There is no provision for manifesto reading, and so where there is no party manifesto, we cannot really ascertain or hold them by their word to say this is what you are supposed to do. And it's unstable rather, and then the citizenship education is very low. Now with the one party system, just by the name again, means there is a single legally and constitutionally allowed party system. All right, just one party system, no other party is recognized, and it's a common feature for communist societies or socialist countries, for example North Korea, Cuba, and China. Now what are the advantages if you would want to adopt this system? It prevents economic waste, so we just have one party and it makes use of the best. So for them to put you out or put you forward as their party leader or to represent them, you must have been the best amongst everyone else. And it promotes unity. Of course, it also allows for stability of government, and decisions are made very quickly. It also allows for continuity, so we just know that at the end of this one tenure, someone else is going to come from the party. And electoral malpractices are also reduced. There is absence of unhealthy rivalry, like where we have so many parties and every party is trying to outdo the other party. There is no rivalry in this system, and it also allows for strong leadership. But then what are the disadvantages? One is that there is no opposition, there is no criticism, no constructive criticism, and individual rights are not accommodated. Of course, there is a control of mass media because just one party and no one else is out there to make corrections or to even challenge the political party in power. It may also produce dictatorship, and it is basically undemocratic. It doesn't allow for the rule of law, because now we have people who are not subject to the law. Remember when we talked about rule of law, everyone is equal before the law. But now this room does not allow for equality before the law. And then a change of government is not provided for in the constitution. Now, two-party system. Two-party system may be defined as the existence of just two major political parties. So when you hear zero party, no party, one party, just one party, two-party system means there are basically two dominant political parties, two recognized and constitutional parties. If you look at Britain, they operate a two-party system, and the advantages is you are allowed to make your choice. I mean, you have two things and you could choose the better, and there's a provision for strong opposition. So if one person is not doing well, the other person certainly would be elected into power, and it allows for good governance. We pick the best. It ensures stability. It is democratic, and change of government is very easy identification of the good people. But then it can divide the country into factions. It's either you are for team A or for team B, and if you're not in either of them, then you're going to be against the other. And it does not promote unity. It could lead to a one-party state. All right, so where there's a recurrent peak from a particular party, out of the two, it could bring about a one-party state. And electoral malpractices too can be very dominant in this system. It also encourages unhealthy party rivalry. Everyone is trying to outdo the opposing party, and the nation's resources can be wasted. Now, the multi-party system, which is the most prevalent, it is a system with more than two. So once you have more than two political parties contesting for political power in a country, you have a multi-party system. And all the parties must be duly registered and recognized by law. And when you talk of multi-party system, I think the very first country you want to think about is Nigeria. We have so many parties in the nation. There is APC, there is PDP, there is APGA, the list goes on and on. There is no end to it. If you want to form a political party, the constitution allows you, and so you just meet the requirements for forming a political party and you have one. Now, what are the advantages for a multi-party system? It is democratic, and there is wider political participation and education. There is wider representation. It reduces the chances of the emergence of a single party dictatorship. It doesn't allow tyrants or dictators to be in power. And of course, there is party organization. It recognizes opposition parties, so everyone would have to up his game, and everyone sits up and does what he needs to do when in power, because there are opposing parties waiting for you. Change of government is very easy. Once you mess up, there is another party waiting to take over office. And of course, human rights are upheld, justice is so preserved, and the rule of law is very dominant because everyone is equal before the law. But then we can also have a coalition government, which is not good for any government. We could have too many political programs. It could be difficult to hold a particular political party responsible, and so you don't know who is actually doing what because there are so many of them. And then there could be ethnic and sectionally based political parties. So you check one area, maybe the southeast region or the northwest, there's just a prevalent political party which can bring about a sectional or ethnic based political party, and it is very expensive. Of course, political opponents can be victimized, especially if you are not well funded, and of course it could bring about political instability. Now, we've talked about the political system as a whole. What then is a political party? Of course, we talked about the party system, the various party systems available. But what then is a political party? It has been defined as an organized group of citizens, people who come together, who act together, just for or in quest for political power. They come together as a political unit, having distinctive aims and objectives, and the aims could be to get power, to occupy political positions or seats in government. They seek to control the government and answer political questions. So they sit in place of power and regulate, control the affairs of the state. Now, what is the structure? What are the things, the embodiment of a political party? One is the organization. So it's a team of people. They come together with a same aim and objective, and they have a manifesto. That's a document or a paper that reads out their intentions, what they would want to do when they get into power. And of course, basically what they do is contest election, because that is the way they get into office. Any country that has or that runs periodic election, of course, has to go through the political parties. So what they do is contest elections, and then nominate candidates for people to vote into power. And so if you want to be anything, you would have to necessarily join a political party where you would be nominated and of course voted into power. And of course, they also carry out campaigns where they put people on the know of who they are bringing out or putting out forward to be the leader of the political party. And so there are campaigns, awareness that make people know. They also have primary election. That's the in-house election. And so at the primary level, at the local level, they choose amongst themselves who would be the flag bearer of the political party, and then you stand out as a representative of your political party. And of course, they have their ideology, what they believe in. They have slogans, they have mottos, they have things that represent their political party. You could hear PDP, power to the people. That is their ideology coined in the motto, like that's what they believe. So every political party has his ideology. And of course, they have rallies at several points, they have congresses, they have conferences, and of course, they must have a purposeful leadership. Now, why do we need a political party? What are their functions? Why do they exist? One is for control of government. They want to be in power. That's the only way you can get into power, through a political party. And of course, to implement policies. They make policies and implement it. They represent groups of interest. And so there is a basic aim and objective that bring them together, and that is what they represent. And so they also help in political education to teach people, to create awareness about political information that people may not necessarily know about. And also, they are accountable. Of course, if you want to know exactly what is happening, you can definitely go through a political party and hold them for a particular act or thing that is being done in the country. Now, this is where we are going to draw the curtains about party system and political parties. Should you have any question, drop them in our comment box and we'll get to reach out to you with the answers. I'm sure you've had a good time. Do have a wonderful day.